I just made the easiest money of my life. But that's not even the best part. The best part is that the person who brought me the deal made their first money ever in real estate with less than 30 minutes of work. They didn't have to do any negotiations. They didn't talk on the phone. They didn't have to deal with any grumpy agents. I mean, I'm not going to lie to you guys. I think this is my new favorite way to make money. Let me show you what I'm talking about. Hey guys, welcome back to the channel. My name is Ryan, and I am so grateful to get to constantly be learning new ways to make money that are actually enjoyable and don't keep me up all night. Shout out wholesaling. In this video, I'm going to be breaking down the deal that I just closed utilizing a method called double closing. I'm going to be breaking down how they work, where you can find them, and how you can make money off of these deals as well. Did I mention that I used no money on this deal and you can do the exact same thing? Thought I'd add that in there. Let's jump down to the whiteboard and talk about it. So the method that we use for this deal is what is called a double closing. And double closings are another way that wholesalers close deals. Now, the most common way, or at least the most common way in my experience and the one that I've talked the most about, is where a wholesaler sells their contract to an end buyer. Now, when this happens, what's really being done is that there's a contract, which we're going to go ahead and call an A to B contract. And they do what's called an assignment, right? Which you guys have heard me talk about before. Assign. So that's the normal wholesale method that you've heard me talk about. A double closing is also another wholesale method that's used in different states for different reasons that we're going to be breaking down here. And the way that it works is that instead of up here where we just have the one A to B contract, down here for a double close, we're going to have two contracts, double close. We've got an A to B contract, right? We can call that contract number 1. And then contract number 2 is going to be a B to C contract. So by definition, a double close is exactly what it sounds like, right? The wholesaler is going to be closing on the first deal and then immediately closing on the second. Double close, right? Two deals being closed on. Why would you do this? Well, there's a lot of different reasons. I'm still learning a lot of these things, but a couple of the different reasons that I know of is, first of all, you want to hide how much money you're making, which is a little sketch, but depending on the situation, whatever. I'm not sharing how I do it. I'm just sharing why people do it. So let's do reasons why. Reasons why. Okay. First reason, hide your profits. So from what I've heard and seen, this is usually for people that are going to make a lot of money on a deal and they don't want the person on the first leg of the transaction to know how much money they're making. Again, I'm not here to tell you whether this is right or wrong. I'm just here to tell you that this is why some people do it. So that's number 1, is hiding your profits. Number 2, wholesale regulations. So depending on the state, there's different laws around whether or not you can assign the contract, whether or not you have to have a new contract, whatever it may be. And so wholesale regulations may require you to do that as well. Number 3 might be preference. Preference can include your own, title company, etc. Some people just prefer to do them this way. So these are just a few reasons. There's plenty of reasons why people double close. But what we do know is that a double closing is done by a wholesaler, right? Because a double closing, by definition, means that you are closing and selling it again. Therefore, you're not keeping the property, so buyers aren't doing double closings, at least as far as I'm aware, right? So these are a couple reasons why you might do a double closing. Now, who is going to need it, like we said, is a wholesaler in those situations. And so if you're looking to do a double closing, which we'll get more into, you're going to be looking for these types of people, right? Right off the top of the head, for example, if there's a place that has strict wholesale regulations and requires you to double close, maybe you should go look for people in those areas and talk to them about double closings. Who would have thunk, right? So you can find those people out there. But let's break down the deal that we just did so that you can actually get an example with some concrete numbers. So we have a deal here. And the number one question we get asked is, where did it come from? And that is what makes this deal more fun than a lot of other deals I did? Because the answer to that question, financial foundations. You guys have heard me talking about it. It's our free online group centered specifically around lending, where we teach people how to go get deals and make money off of them without any money of their own. So, in the group Financial Foundations, we had somebody join. His name is John Connors. Shout out to John, because John Connors took action immediately, went out and started looking for people that might need double closings. What did he do? From what he told me, he was just posting in Facebook groups and DMing people, right? He told me that he did this for about 30 minutes. Okay? So 30 minutes, John was in there making posts. He found somebody that needed a double closing. When we say that they needed a double closing, what does that mean? Okay, so we talked up here about how we've got the A to B and the B to C contract, right? So when we go down here, let's break that down a little bit further. So we've got our A to B and we've got our B to C. Now, wholesaling, as you guys know, by definition, is somebody that's getting property under contract for a certain amount of money and then reselling or assigning that contract for more money to an end buyer, right? So, in this example, the wholesaler had the purchase price, they had it under contract at $200,000. Okay? So they were going to buy this for $200,000, and then they were going to sell it for $200,000, and I believe it was about $90,000, right? So they're going to make some good money on this deal. This deal was in New Jersey, by the way. So A to B was going to be $200,000, B to C was going to be $290,000. Now, if you're doing two separate closings, then that means that the money has to be brought from both sides of those closings, right? So if you're going to close on $200,000 contract for the A to B contract, where's the money? Because this end buyer that's buying it for $290,000, you can't use their money towards the $200,000 because that money doesn't come until after you've already bought this property for the $200K. So this is where double closings come into hand, because the wholesaler here needs $200K to close. So they need $200K to close. They're going to be looking for somebody that can provide that $200,000 for them so that they can close, and of course then unlock the ability to go make this $290K, which would be a net of about $90,000, right? Big time, great money, good to go. They just got to get that $200,000. And so that's usually when a double closing comes into effect. So for this deal, I, and John, and the people we partnered with came in and funded that $200,000. So let's talk about how that works. In escrow, right, let's start with Title Co., right? So the title company keeps money in the escrow. And that's their job as a title company to, facilitate the real estate transaction. And so they've got the A to B and the B to C transactions taking place at their title company. Now, the way that we handle these transactions is that to protect ourselves, we want our money to not go into escrow until we are already guaranteed that we're going to get our money plus a return out of escrow. How do we do that? Well, we already said that the B to C, so the end buyer in this situation, was going to be spending $290,000 to buy this house, right? $290,000 was coming in to buy this house, and we only needed $200K. So we want that $290,000 to go into escrow before we ever do anything, right? Before we ever do anything, that money should already be there. And so what we do is we send agreements. We agree with title on a plan. And that plan is that the title company is going to notify us when this $290,000 has been received by the title company, right? So that money is already sitting in escrow, right? Escrow is just where money is held for transactions. So that money is going to be sitting there. They send us an email that says, hey, Ryan, that money is now sitting there, right? The $290,000 is sitting, ready to close, right? But the B2C can't close until the A to B closes. Why? Because the B2C contract is to buy this address over here, and they don't have a contract to buy that address from the person who's currently selling it. Duh, right? So we got to close on the A to B first. So once that money is in escrow, we then send 200K to title. Now, Ryan, how much money are you charging to send this 200K to title? Great question. That will vary depending on the situation. On this deal, we charged 2% for less than 24 hours, which means that we had additional fees that would tack on if it went longer than 24 hours. But 2% of 200K is $4,000. Now, you might think, well, that's not a crazy amount of money, or some of you might be thinking, wow, that is a crazy amount of money, depending on what situation you're in, but $4,000. Here's the crazy part. We sent this money at 1 p.m. We received our return at 3 p.m. This is 2 hours. 2 hours of the day was spent between when we sent this money and when we received the money, right? So sent at 1 p.m. was 200K. Received at 3 p.m. was 204K. But Ryan, where did you get that money? Another great question. I am not rich yet. And so I don't have $200,000 just sitting around, right? Even if I did have that money, it's not usually just going to be sitting somewhere. It's going to be out in deals, buying houses, whatever, growing the business. So I raised the money. So hold on a second. What I'm telling you guys is that I had somebody else bring me this deal, and then I had somebody else fund this deal for me, and I still made $1,000. That is exactly what I'm telling you. That is exactly what I did, and I'm going to be doing it more and more and more, making even more money off of it, and making money with my friends and other people, even getting their first deals like John did on this one. That's why I think this might be my new favorite method, because this, you want to talk about not having to deal with delayed gratification? This is that, right? Money out, money in. Bing, bang, boom. Big time. It is fantastic. So I raised the money, right? I raised that 200K, and our agreement was a 50-50 split. So that meant that the person bringing the money got 50%, and then John and I got to split the other 50%. So everybody gets to make money. I didn't have to bring any money to the table, and I didn't have to bring the deal, but I got to facilitate the deal, teach everybody how to do it, and we all got to have fun in the process. And that is why double closings are so fantastic. So I'm going to show you guys real quick. I'm going to pop up. It'll have a bunch of stuff blurred out, but I'll throw on the screen an image of the HUD statement where you can see that broken down, right? Where you can see that escrow just paid the $2,000 to the party that funded it, paid me $1,000, and then paid John $1,000. And just like that, we all were able to make money with less than 30 minutes worth of our own work, nothing that we had to do besides just facilitate the transaction, send the money, and get the money back. And that's really it. So how can I do these transactions for you? If you're somebody that's wholesaling and you need double closing, come reach out to me, right? You can send your request to swiftemd.com, and I would be more than happy to take a look. And as long as we can have everything fall under the guidelines I just discussed, we will fund that double closing up to a couple $1,000,000. Happy to do it, happy to make money with you and help you unlock whatever it is that you're trying to do with your wholesale transaction. So if you guys need double closings, do that. But the more important question that you are likely thinking is, how the heck do I get these deals and make money either with me or somebody else? So what do you need? There's really not too much, right? The first thing you need is a lead. How can you get a lead? Well, we just talked about the type of people that need these transactions. We talked about where John found one. And there's plenty more out there. People do double closings all day, every day. So how can you get the lead? Network, outreach, consistency, and of course, the list goes on, right? Second of all, let's call this the transaction itself. You're going to need contracts and communication, both incredibly important. And then the third thing you're going to need, money. And to get money, you can work with me, or you can raise your own. So it really is that simple. That is double closings. You're sending money, you're getting the money right back. Typically, it's going to be an immediate thing because it's being done at the same title company and we already have the money waiting for us. Now, there's other ways you can do it, but that's the way I choose to do it to keep us protected and also make it smooth and as efficient as possible so that everybody is happy and nobody is left frustrated. And I can guarantee you that everybody was left happy in this situation. In fact, I even want to throw up one more thing for you guys to look at. So I'm going to go ahead and throw up an email right here from the title company that we worked with on this transaction. And this is a big one that I can't express enough when I talk to you guys about lead generation. Read this email and you will see that not only did this transaction go smoothly, simply, we didn't make a ton of money, but we made money and we helped the wholesaler go unlock $90,000, right? So it's fantastic for them. But even more importantly, the way that we communicated and carried ourselves throughout this transaction had the title company reaching out to us asking, do you do more of this? Now, let's take a second and think. Who does transactions like this more than anybody? A title company. It's literally their job to do these transactions. So don't you think that would be a good resource to have? But some of you are saying, well, I reach out to title companies all the time and they never get back to me. Yeah, that's because you're cold reaching out to people that don't know you, that have no idea what you're talking about, right? Which is why I always stress that cold outreach on this stuff comes after everything else, right? So in this situation, it was not a cold outreach. They had just seen us perform flawlessly, and we spoke on the phone about how quickly it went, how simple it went, how there was no hiccups, which I'm not going to lie to you is kind of ridiculous for real estate, but it's easier in double closings to not have any hiccups once you just fund at the finish line, right? No hiccups, everything went according to plan, and they reached out on the phone and then sent a follow-up email saying, hey, we need your information because we want to work with you in the future. What are your terms? What do you look like? We want to send you more deals in the future. So do people right. Do things correctly the first time, prepare ahead of time to do them well so that you can impress and continue to work with people in the future. And you'll find deals just like this one. Double closings are awesome. Go find your own. Work with me at swiftemd.com if you want to do them together, or go do them with somebody else if you can make more money that way. Whatever works best for you. I hope you learned a lot in this, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.